Debbie Romero is your host today on Transcend with Debbie and can be found on all platforms. She's a renowned international evidential psychic medium, Reiki master, Munike certified, and empowerment teacher who is holding space to bring awareness with other like-minded souls as we raise the vibration collectively for humanity with awareness, inspiration, love, compassion, and healing. Now your host, Debbie Romero.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I have next to me my friend, Mr. Phil Shaw in the house. Thank you, Phil, for being here.
Good evening, Debbie.
It is an honor. Yeah, it truly is an honor. We finally were able to meet together in honor of spirit and community. I know you were going to be my January 1st kickoff, and Spirit's like, no, girl, we're going to bring them in June, and we're going to get that middle buzz going. And so I love,
finally did it.
Yeah, I love how it all is coming together. And right now we are on a new page, Phil. This is like so cool. We are now on Find Me a Medium. Isn't that awesome? Like,
that's very cool.
I know. So yes, Miss Jenkins, we got a lot of hellos already here. Michelle, Jennifer McCormick, Mike Egan. Hey, got lots of hellos already popping in hot. So we want to say thank you to Derek Akora's page. I am a guest medium host with them every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Things Network, 11 a.m. PD time. Sacred Spiral, I am also a host on their page. And now Find Me a Medium. And of course, we're running live on multiple pages. Different links will be placed in the comments. For those that are following, give my guy Phil a follow and all our pages a follow. We want to say thank you to Sacred Spiral, Kelly Brickle, who is the producer, who has allowed us to unite together. And there's like 10 pages going strong right now. And without her behind the scenes, none of this would be possible. Veronica doing her hard work, Jeremy York, happy birthday, Jeremy York, and Things Network. And on top of that, we got Samantha doing the work for Derek Akora's page. We're running hot with all the people behind the scenes. And because of them, this is why we are able to do what we do. So thank you, first and foremost. With that being said, Phil, I know a lot of people are wondering, who is Mr. Shaw? Would you mind just letting the world know a little bit about who you are and what you love to do?
Yeah, good, Debbie. Thank you very, very much. Speaking for myself, it's been a very, very amazing journey since I moved into the world of spiritualism, mediumship, and psychic development in my late 20s. And since then, the world has really kind of opened up to the work that I'm doing. I've been incredibly lucky in as much as I've been mentored by some great mediums, including Gordon Higginson, Ursula Roberts at the Arthur Findlay College, and the wonderful, distinguished Mrs. Ivy Northage at the College of Psychic Studies in London. So it's been a very colourful journey. It's been very unpredictable. It's been very full of the most unexpected surprises and revelations, really, because I had no idea what to expect when I moved into the world of mediumship and spiritualism. And suddenly, as I said before, the whole kind of world, my whole world, changed literally overnight. And I suddenly realized that I had a gift which I wasn't really terribly aware of before. And suddenly it just kind of happened. And I started seeing and hearing and sensing people's auras, reading people's auras. And I was needing some help, obviously, because when you leave that kind of work unchecked, it can have quite devastating consequences. So I was very mindful of the fact that I needed to be taken in hand by very experienced teachers and mentors and coached in the very best possible way. Right. And that happened for me in, again, very unexpected ways, but in ways which truly benefited my development and progress in spiritualism.
What a beautiful unfoldment. And you say your 20s and you didn't know you were sensitive. What sparked that awareness for you? I mean, wow, Gordon Higginson's and the teachers
that awareness, Debbie, was really, it happened really when I was, when I was socializing, when I was with my friends. We were out in pubs and restaurants and whatever. And after a few glasses of wine or a few pints of beer, I would start to become, obviously what I know now, very psychically, mediumistically open.
Yes.
And I had no idea that that was potentially very quite dangerous and vulnerable to be vulnerable to those kind of influences when one hasn't been trained to deal with them. Right. So I would start then to say to various friends, I have, your uncle, your mother, your father, whatever, here.
Yes.
They're giving me a message for you, not really caring whether they believed in what I was talking about or not. I just gave them the information. And then, of course, they would, be very shocked and surprised. And how do you know that? Where did you get that from? How could you possibly understand that? And I had to explain that I was starting to be aware of external spirit, and how they were communicating with me, and the fact that I felt I needed to offload this information to them. So that was all taken in good part. Some of them believed it, some of them didn't believe it. And then later on, I was introduced to my first teacher, Ivy Northridge, at the College of Psychic Studies. And she took me to one side after one of her demonstrations and said, young man, I would like you to come and sit in my circle because you have obvious potential to develop as a medium, and can you start? So that sort of, she got me launched.
Nice.
From that point. And then later in my 30s, I went to the Arthur Findlay College, met with Gordon Higginson and Ursula Roberts. Ursula said, I had a trance reading with Ursula Roberts, and her guide at that time came through and said, young man, you have very pronounced potential for trance mediumship, and you need to be trained in the right way, and with perhaps my medium and with other teachers that are fully experienced in trance teaching. So I certainly trained with Gordon in trance, and also Ursula, and then latterly Ivy, who was a trance medium anyway. And then I was mentored also by her guide, Chan, who took me aside and used to give me weekly sessions in trance coaching. So it was a huge privilege to be trained as a spirit guide in association with his medium.
Right.
That all started, and I was launched from there really onto the professional platform after 6 years of training.
Wow,
so that was my pathway into professional work.
I'm in awe listening to you. I'm so sorry, Phil. Go ahead.
And I've been attending Wimbledon Spiritualist Church for many years, not as a medium, obviously, but as a sort of a spectator and one who was very interested in the work. And I used to take my mum along there, and she was interested. And then, of course, to eventually work on the Wimbledon Spiritualist Church platform as a medium after graduating from Arthur Findlay and the College of Psychic Studies was a massive privilege. Yeah. So that's kind of how it all kicked off, really.
Wow. Congratulations on your progression and your journey as a medium and service to spirit.
Indeed. And isn't it interesting, Debbie, how we look back and we see how certain events in our lives, perhaps unconnected to spiritualism, have actually shaped our mediumistic work.
Oh, yes. And when you said...
Way back in the day, in my early 20s, I trained to be a professional actor and subsequently worked in the theatre, film, TV. But what I didn't understand at that point was that my stagecraft training, my voice training, and the whole, process of becoming more self-aware and understanding me and what made me tick was really a preparation, partly, for my mediumship work many years ahead.
Right. Isn't that true?
That's where spirit were guiding me in the work, even at that early stage.
I agree, Phil. Everything we do has taken us to the steps of being a service and how we are used in that way. And I want to go back to how you sat with Gordon and Transcend. For those who do not know Gordon Higginson and Ivy, what legacy would you like to share of both of them for us to blend the new mediumship with the traditional teachings that were given? What can you give us as students that are following the steps?
I'm really out to champion the whole concept of merging the new, as we call it now, the new mediumship with traditional training.
Yes.
Because however one likes to present a modern approach to one's craft of mediumship, nevertheless, I believe there are certain principles and ethics that need to be respected and observed in terms of traditional training. And that's certainly what I received and many, many other people received from Gordon, from Ursula, and from Ivy. They were very hard taskmasters, but they were kind and respectful, and they got the results.
Yes.
Because not through intimidation or through any other form other than love and a passion and a desire for wanting the best from their students.
I agree.
That's the yardstick for any teacher of mediumship, to want the best from their students and have an understanding and a sensitivity as to how that ability can be produced by them. And that's a lot through building their own confidence. I'm sure you recognize, and many others do,
most definitely,
many young mediums who are very, very potentially gifted, but that are not able to allow themselves or choose not to allow themselves at a certain point in their development to let themselves go, to become more vulnerable, to become more open to spirit. And this is what they need, and this is what I teach at Open Platform.
Thank you.
I teach all my students to be aware of the fact that we as mediums are intermediaries. So it's a three-way process. There is the recipient of the message, the audience member. There is us, the medium, and there is our spirit guide or guides, our helpers, and then the communicators. So really, it's a four-way process.
Mm-hmm.
But the mechanics, as such, are done by ourselves and our spirit guides and helpers, because we are the two that hopefully are bringing the two factors that are bringing everything together.
Right. So you're tuning to all the energies and frequencies with all the souls and connections of energies, and be able to hold that link and anchor that energy to deliver the energy of presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, Gordon was a great economist. He didn't like any waffle. So if you try to embellish a message or use jargon that he thought was superfluous to the actual demonstration, he would come down on you for that and say, we don't want, I feel, we don't want, I think that, we don't want, give us clear fact. So I have your father, he's 5'10" or medium height. He smoked a pipe. He had a moustache. He passed with a heart attack. He lived in such and such an area. He grew up with such and such. He'd had this education. And the message he is wanting to give you is this. Finish.
Yes. Yes.
It was clear cut.
Yes. Very direct.
No moving around the houses and, tying it all up.
Boy, have times changed with all the memories and evidence, but I love that teaching. You could feel the structure, you could feel the energy and the directness of where it's coming from.
I think, Debbie, we're at a very interesting and demanding, in a way, crossroads, certainly with church services, because although we want to respect and honor the traditional form of service and mediumship, nevertheless, it's important to be able to relate to the younger generation that are coming in, that don't necessarily respond to that particular type of demonstration, as in the old school. So therefore, it's about bringing perhaps a more relaxed and flexible approach into a more traditional format and foundation, and then working from there, developing a personality of your own, really.
Yes.
And your mediumistic work.
Right. So finding the rhythm finding the rhythm of the flow of the energy. I was just teaching my students this weekend, so I love how this is coming up to the surface. So those that are listening, you have an idea of what a reading can stem, the foundation of a great reading and how it could unfold. And then you're giving the message and sharing the evidence and the story of the spirit.
The narrative is so important, really. And
so much beauty.
I find it quite annoying when I see professional mediums working and they say, I have a gentleman, he comes in as your grandfather or your uncle, he's medium height with dark hair, and this is the message. And they jump straight from that. So they miss out evidential mediumship and jump straight to a message.
Yeah.
You see, and now my roots, my sort of legacy from Ivy and Gordon is to tell the story of the communicator, to be able to give sufficient evidence for the recipient to be able to say that is 100% without any shadow of a doubt my husband, my brother, my mother, whatever. And then you've done that, you've cleared that out of the way, and then you can move to the message.
Absolutely love that, Bill. As you have progressed in your journey and you've seen the changes of how the work has flourished, what would you like to add to sparkle of healing or of inspiration to those that are listening right now for your legacy, and what you would like to have us hold on to and open up based on what you feel can continue on your behalf? What would you like us to know?
I think that from what you've said, Debbie, I think that the essence of not only good mediumship, but the essence of inspiring those with whom we work, those we teach, those we demonstrate to, is really about the furtherance of the love and the passion that we have for this craft.
Yes.
And I call it craft because, like acting, I had to learn my craft. Like in mediumship, I had to learn my craft. So it's about conveying that the beauty of not only the preparation of the craft and then the demonstrating of the craft, but also imbuing one's mediumship and one's speaking and oratory with love and with that ability to connect. And there's a very specific, as you know, there's a very specific technique vocally and mentally to connecting with an audience.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to be able to stand on a platform and just deliver information without making a connection at all with your audience, just a mouthpiece. And the other way is to actually survey all the people in the church or the people that you're addressing and to bring them into your field of consciousness quite consciously, to bring them in so that they feel part of the process. They feel part of that love which is being transmitted from the spirit through the medium into the place of celebrating mediumship.
And celebrating the story of the impressions that were left within our hearts of those that we love.
Absolutely.
To feel into the essence of someone and the love that they embody, that is a gift that we're filling into, and the energies of a living, a soul that was living, that it continues to live on. We're filling into their existence.
Yes,
there is a sacredness.
We must remember that we are also healers, not in any big-headed or egotistical sense, but as mediums, we are healers. We are working on a healing vibration when we are giving evidential mediumship and giving messages.
Right.
Because just a word or a sentence or a mood that is conveyed through the medium from the communicator, which the recipient recognizes absolutely 100% to be that particular person.
Right.
That in itself can bring a healing, can bring a renewal, can bring a regeneration and a reconstitution of that. I agree. Person.
Thank
so
you,
it's a massive responsibility. And, when I hear certain people saying, well, I did this weekend course in mediumship and now I'm writing to all the churches to try and,
you know, you and I know this is a dedication. It is part of who we are. We embody this. For you and I know you live spirit led. You're led by the spirit. You work with spirit. You embody it in every day that you wake up. There is a connection, and you know that. And
it's so important to live it every day. Apart from our conversations and our readings, it's so important that we live it personally, and that we live the tenets of spiritualism and spirituality.
I agree. I feel like
a tiny little cog in a massive universal cosmological wheel.
Says my astrology guy. Tell us more about that. I love it. We're all those booming stars and the planets within us. Like, we embody that same essence. It's like, let's blow up and shine.
I got drawn into astrology after I sort of started learning about spiritualism and mediumship, and I just took to it like a duck out of water, really. And I realized later on that there are so many correlations between astrology and spirituality, because astrology, or if you choose to study a particular branch of astrology, as in spiritual astrology or esoteric astrology, then you become a lot more aware of your own spirituality, which of course in turn informs your mediumship and your psychic ability through the knowledge that you've gained from astrology. And of course, all planetary motion and planets themselves and the signs, the astrological signs and houses, they all have a deeper spiritual, esoteric significance. So the two dovetail perfectly together. And I think as spiritualists, and I'm sure you'd agree with me here, Debbie, that we really benefit from embracing many forms of philosophical understanding and philosophical teaching. I don't like to think that we or myself, that I just define myself from traditional spiritualism. I am informed by many, many different types of spirituality, which I kind of put into the blender with my spiritualism. And then that advances my knowledge spiritually, but also takes with it those roots of my understanding, which are very much within the spiritualistic tradition.
I agree. What stands out to me is how you spoke about you as an actor, going in, learning yourself, understanding how the work that you've taken as time has passed has molded you to who you are today. And what keeps spirit is having me have my awareness with your whole story shared, Phil.
Yes.
The discovery within of self.
Discovering self.
Discovering yourself.
As you know, that can be a very painful process.
It is.
Through a 3-year drama school training, a lot of actors don't really start to discover themselves until the end of the 2nd year, beginning of the 3rd year. So because we're frightened, we're vulnerable. We don't want necessarily, unless we have massive egos, but we don't want to expose ourselves on that emotional level. It takes a long time and a lot of nurturing and a lot of trust in our teachers to reach that point. It's the same with mediumship.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you say you're understanding the philosophy, you're bringing understanding to the roots. It's all still connected within. All the words that you spoke of today is also within. So you're reminding us to understand thyself, understand how the philosophy is igniting within us and how it resonates. And then it's almost like it just blows up from there to just bring a huge awareness of consciousness to an awakening on another. I could feel like another level, and it's just you're giving me that opportunity.
The journey never ends, does it? The journey just continues.
Right. So let's say some hellos. Thank you for sharing your love, your wisdom, and your inspiration, because you had me in awe. I'm like, taking it all in, Phil. So thank you. Can you see the hellos in the comments, Phil?
I can see the comments. Yes, I can see Jamie coming on. Good evening, Jamie. I don't know where you are, but maybe it's morning, afternoon.
Yeah,
Helen.
say hello and where you're from. That way we know. We can say morning, afternoon, or evening.
Yeah, and Jennifer McCormick.
Hey,
Hello,
girl.
Jennifer. And Katrina Callum, thank you very much for joining us. Katrina, lovely to see you. And Helen Smith, good. Hello.
Oh, hi, Helen.
I want to keep saying good evening because it's evening in London.
Well, they are in London, so Essex, yeah, Lakeshire, yes,
Susan?
Texas.
Susan. Autumn Shimp. Now there's an interesting name from Texas.
Yes.
Hello, great to see you. Stacia. I recognize Stacia from our Wimbledon church.
Yes. Hi, Stacia.
And lovely Barbara Gillet from California.
Yes.
Hi, Barbara. Good to see you. And medium Jennifer Rose. Hi, Jennifer. Great.
Hi,
great to see you.
So, Phil, are you ready to do some readings? What you say? Are we ready to open it up?
No, I'm finished now. I'm going home now. Going for a cup of tea.
I'll get my tea.
Cool.
I'll get my water ready. I'm ready to work with my guy here. We're going to do some readings. Let's call in the spirit.
So I thought what we do, or what I do, Deb, if it's okay with you, I can do some evidential mediumship. I can do an auric or a psychic reading, and I can do a tarot card, just one tarot card from the...
flow, and I watch, and I will have your back. I'll come right after you, and then you go again. Whatever you feel guided, you go ahead and do your thing, Mr. Phil.
Okay. I just received a message this afternoon, as I often do before a demonstration. And I'm going to give out this information because hopefully it's going to be relevant to one of your viewers. And this communicator was an elderly gentleman, shows himself mid-70s. He's about average height. He had very neatly parted hair, quite thinning and quite sort of grey, but still some dark in his hair towards the end of his physical life. He was taking me into his garden and showing me rhododendrons and peonies. He was also talking about a tree at the end of the garden where he lived, on the right-hand side at the end, that was very abundant with fruit at the appropriate time of the year, but then obviously was fruitless when the bad weather came. And that would kind of make him feel a little bit low and a little bit down, because he loved the summer. He loved to see the growing fruit, the growing flowers. He said he had a message for his niece who would be here, because he wanted to get a message to his sister. So he is an uncle with a message for his niece. He said that before he passed, he had some stomach issues and that he was starting to use a cane. He used the word cane as opposed to stick, right? Because he preferred the word cane in the last months of his life. He's talking about the town of Littlehampton in Sussex in the UK. He's talking about Ronnie Barker and watching Ronnie Barker, the comedian, actor in Porridge on TV. That was a TV show. He talks about a condition of myocardiac infarction. He also says that where he lived in his little bungalow, there was something wrong with the doorbell and you had to keep on pressing it to make it work. He also talked of Heather. He refers to himself when younger as quite a rebel. He said, I didn't want to ever fall in line. He speaks also of a 3rd Battalion. He seems to have had a few friends in the military. He talks about a man called Roy in spirit now. And he also shows me, and this is coming through to the message for this particular recipient, he shows me a compass and says that the message for his niece is that she's navigating a difficult situation which is becoming clearer in her mind, but that she's still uncertain as to whether to pursue this particular direction. And her uncle is encouraging her to follow her instinct. And because she now has most of her ducks in a row, metaphorically speaking, she's only hesitant because this is very much a new type of venture for her. And therefore, she's very, very hesitant. So that was the message that he gave me. That was the information that he gave me. And I'm wondering if we have the niece or anybody online that is able to take any or all of that.
Such detailed, Helen. I agree. Oh my gosh. I have to sit back and say, I can take some of that. Who can take some of that? Come on, y'all. We'll leave that there because people do come in and out. So with
We'll
hopes
leave that there for a moment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and if someone pops in, we will definitely get the validation.
I'd just like to go quickly to good evening, Linda McClelland. It's nice to see you here. And Linda, I'd like to come to you, please, with a spirit communicator who claims to be your grandmother, your mother's mother in spirit, because she's talking to me about the abundance of flowers that were at her celebration of life event. And she talks about the times that she spent growing up in quite rural surroundings when it was a privilege to be able to be part of the natural environment, to be part of nature, and to be very much aware of those elements that a lot of us take for granted, the air, the earth, the water, the fire, all these basic elements of life. And she talks about you and how you have been becoming more interested in what makes not only you tick as a person, but also why you are being attracted into areas of investigation, as she puts it, that you wouldn't normally be attracted to. But over the last year to 18 months, you felt this need to go down a particular pathway, which is somehow opening up doors, not fully, but partly, that you are now wanting to open, go in and explore. So I hope this is relevant for your current situation, Linda. And if you could give me some feedback on that, that would be very much appreciated. But your grandmother here is telling me how she loved music, how she loved to be around people that were musical or that were singing, and how she herself, although she wasn't a professional singer, she nevertheless loved to express herself through song. She loved to walk around and to be able to sing and be able to hear music and connect to her own spirituality through the medium of music. So if you could let me know. Yes, Linda's saying, definitely I'm seeing lots of signs. Thank you for that, Linda. And yes, it's really coming back to what I told you about the doors being partially opened and spirit offering you the opportunity to go and open those doors for yourself. They're not going to be automatically opened. It needs that part of you which is curious and which feels impressed by the spirit to go and open those particular doors. So it's about following your initiative in this respect. And if you can let me know, and also let me know about your grandmother and whether how I was describing her is relevant to the situation. So if you could let me know that, Linda, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. So, do you want to come in here, Debbie, while we're...
Sure. Okay, so she says my mom sometimes.
You never knew your grandparents. Right, Linda. Okay. Because she says that, your grandmother says that there was a time in the family, I want to go back now about 5 or 6 years, when your own mother, she felt very, very low and very despondent about a situation in the family that didn't seem to be improving or picking up in any way. And she was trying herself to invest her time, her energy, her commitment to family values to be able to bring more cohesiveness into the family group, into the family circle. And this is what your grandmother was really wanting to say to you, apart from the opportunities that are being presented to you as well. So
and would she understand that, Linda? Let's see if she understands that, Bill. Let's see, where are you at, Linda, girl? Oh, good to hear about my grandmother. Oh, beautiful job.
Okay. And if you can just confirm what I've just explained about your mother and that situation of her feeling quite low those few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when she was trying to pull things together. But everything seems to be coalescing now more in the family unit, and you've been helping with that as well. She says that your efforts and your energy have been very, very respected and welcomed in that way. Yes, Linda's saying that's true. She held us together. Oh, I didn't get a chance to read that. It went so quickly.
They're so fast. The comments are coming in hot. We got over 40-something people in here, Phil. Keep it going.
Bit of X-ray vision.
Yeah,
okay, well,
catch them.
I think you're getting the message from that then, Linda. Yes, that's making some sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay. But you are a great sort of linchpin in your family. And it's very important that as much as you inspire members of the family, that you don't allow them to latch onto you too much, because that's the sort of person you are, that you will allow your friends to really latch on and to pull you in when it's not always appropriate for you to be giving them the kind of advice that they really can find within themselves. So it's about you helping people to empower themselves. That's really what I'm trying to say.
Right. What a beautiful reading, Phil. What a beautiful reading.
She was experiencing dementia and had to leave her home and go to a safe place. Okay, fine. Thank you, Linda. Right. There's still very much, Linda, this sense of your mother being a big kind of force within the family, and not just to her immediate children.
Spot on.
Right, within the family, bringing people together and making sure everything is well balanced, and that, not with a rod of iron, but just with a gentle presence and an ability to bring that cohesion into the family. So that's really your message, Linda. Thanks for working with me.
Beautiful job, Phil. Let me see where I'm going to go here. A lot of people coming in and out. So let's say some hellos and let us know where you're from. Brilliant reading, amazing healing in such detail. God, let's bring in some more spirit to see where I'm going. Everyone, let me know who's here so I can see where I'm guided to go. I feel like I would like to go with Carol McDowell. Carol McDowell. And feel free to jump in anytime, Phil. But Carol, for me here, I do feel like my arms are hurting. I feel Spirit is acknowledging the energy within yourself, how it is to lift and how your body is just trying to get forward. And I feel this gentleman that steps forward, and he was coming in and out as Phil was talking. And as I connect to him, thank you, Carol. And as I connect to his essence and to his energy, I know I'm clearing my throat. I know that there is this memory of, going in and out of consciousness where I'm feeling like I can see you, but I also know that you were there. And I feel that that's significant. If you would understand what this gentleman, who feels very much like a father, Carol, is who I'm connecting, who is acknowledging you and your well-being at this moment of your energy and how you're feeling, if you would understand this. And I'm just going to wait for the yeses and nos. I know he's taking me to his chest, and I know that there's some things going on as I feel like I'm, like I just felt fine, and all of a sudden it was almost like my chest has some aches or some discomfort, tightness within the chest. I feel here is the sense that he impresses upon me. Carol, if you would understand this. I know that he was very active. I know that he liked to work with his hands, because all of a sudden my hands here, I feel like I'm working. I'm in the yard. I feel like I'm in the heat. I feel like I'm sweating is the sense that he gives me. And I feel I can understand this. Dad passed you here. Oh, God bless you. I'm so sorry. And wasn't with him. And so I know that as this energy steps forward, I feel like I'm just outside and in the heat. I'm trying to stay hydrated. And I feel like I'm just trying to gather my steppings with him, which makes me feel like I would have had some walking issues with the way that he's impressed. And, there's this feeling of being at the doctors, going to the doctors. And it was just very overwhelming is the feeling that he gives me here. And this is a way that he did not want to live, is a sense that he gives. I feel like I want to be reminded of dancing and free-spirited. I feel like I would have had a great suit, a black and white suit, and I would be dancing, and I just would love to have fun. And I feel like I was this, yes, he worked outside and had bad hips for walking. Yes. And I feel like as he brings this forward, I just feel like I want to be reminded of the Joker, of the laughter, of the fun. And I feel like I'm at a celebration or a party that either took place in May, because I feel like I'm celebrating, I'm dancing with you, and I'm very present with you in May. And I feel like I am the joy of the party is the sense that he gives me. I know that the month of November and December were very challenging months, as he makes me feel the energy just take a little drop there. And I feel like just wanting to have the family close and wanting to be under the tree and, just being there, giving the gifts. And I feel like the presence of his essence is also there. I feel there's a dog, a golden retriever that steps forward. That's either in a picture where he was sitting on the side of the couch. They make me feel this couch had greenery and pink roses. So I know that there is definitely this sense of that. Yes, my grandson's party. Yes, December and November. And he was very much celebrating with you. And as I feel into his energy here, it's like the holidays, Christmas, right? Like opening up the presents. Like, wasn't this the best? And I just feel this smile across your face when you got a gift. And I feel like when I look at this, either this is like jewelry, rings, and I just want to give this jewelry to you. As I say this now, a woman steps forward who makes me feel like I want to feel in her essence as a mother. And as I feel into her essence, she shows me the diamond and she shows me the ring. And I feel that this brings you joy. So I know that you either have jewelry of hers, and I have to say this brings you enlightenment and joy is the feeling that she gives me. I know that when I feel into her energy as well, I feel like I'm also getting tired towards my end of my journey as my knees start to hurt and I'm sitting in a wheelchair, and I feel either a form of dementia or a form of memory care and this loss of where am I today. And I feel that you are very much part of I'm so sorry, Carol, on all of this that you've gone through, but she's just making me feel like you were part of her care, and she looks up at you, and you were such a strong supporter of her. As I feel into her essence, she really did rely on you. As I looked at your picture for a quick glance, I know that you also had a strong resemblance of her. And I know that you have a doily that is on your dresser top, because she shows me the handcrafted type of doily that was long. And I feel like you have her belongings there. And I feel like notes are, I feel like as I cough this energy out, I feel like this is her with the cough, but it was a dry cough. And I feel like you had to take notes for her appointment. And she just shows me, you're just like, oh my gosh, I have so many things to do. Your mom also didn't want to be that burden on you, but yet she was grateful for the care that was given. Reminds me of me taking care of my mom and how I had to take that big old wheelchair and put it in the car. And she just looked at you like reminding you of how strong you are. Those wheelchairs are, no, this is your sister. Okay. So she's showing me how strong you are. And I feel like when I first feel mother and when you go into sister, I'm going to bring a different essence here of some form of Cancer. So I had two different souls that I'm connecting to. So as you shifted that, Carol, I would say I have father, I'm acknowledging mother, and now I'm going to go into the essence of your sister, because the energy just shifted for me here. Would you be able to understand the illness with the Cancer? She was like my mom and had to write everything down, and she was passing, stayed with her until the end. Yes. And so with this being said, I have your mom, and I loved how Phil talked about how we're working with the essence of spirit, you and us, all blending together for their love to be shared together right now for you. As she places in your hand, whether this was her jewelry or a brooch or a pin, whether this was a symbol pin of Cancer or something here symbolic to her illness, I felt that she was giving you this memory of how you were by her side, but also symbolically, I see the butterfly. So you know that the monarch butterfly, which is the orange and the black with the specks, is a way that you remembered her. So she says, and she leaves in, you see, we're just that thought away. You see, you can see me. You see, you can hear me. Your TV gets a little bit of a snowflake of the paranormal feeling of the vibrations of the changes of the TV. You looked at your phone and you see the 444s. Cancer, as my brother is getting an end of life, as I said, he would away days ago. I understand butterflies. Wow, Carol. So they're really all stepping forward for you right now in acknowledgement of what you're going through. And they are holding you in this container of love. So I say thank you for just allowing me and Phil to hold space and spirit for you at this moment. The message for stepping forward is to say, you got this, girl. You're strong, just like you lifted that wheelchair over, just the way you were there holding her hand or taking care of your mom and being there for your father with those thoughts. Keep them in the frequency of pure love. So I leave you with their love. I thank you so kindly, Carol, for letting us hold space. God bless. And I'll pass it back to my friend Phil here.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a quick rider to what you were talking about with Carol, and to say that at last, Carol, for you, and this is coming from your father, everything from your past and your childhood is starting to come together for you. It's starting to make more sense, your early childhood years. And you've been trying to put that either into some form of writing or some form of journaling to help you understand how you were, what you were thinking, why you were thinking it, and so on. And this, you've sort of been very periodic about writing about your experiences, but now you feel there's a greater need to really sit down and really chronicle those early years and how you were affected by your growing up and the extraordinary experiences that you had, which you couldn't account for when you were young, but which made a lasting impression on you and a very, very big impact on your life. So that's what your father just wanted to add as a rider. You're saying you started journaling again. Yes, good. And he just wanted to get that in. But that's really what I wanted to add there, Debbie. About
Beautiful. That was not just add. That was awesome, Bill. That was a beautiful, healing, loving message for her. So, Carol, thank you for receiving the love. And I'll let you pick the next person, Bill.
All right.
Let's do another.
Has recognized any of the information I gave out, first of all, about the gentleman in the garden.
Let's repeat that. Let's go back and read that again with the garden.
Yeah. It's an elderly gent, mid-70s, before he passed. He had a passion for gardening, particularly was showing me rhododendrons, peonies, talks of being very fussy in his lifestyle, particularly when it came to the latter part of his life. And he had this quip about cough mixture. He had to have a specific type of cough mixture. You know, the off-the-shelf brands wouldn't do it. It had to be very specific for him. He had very neatly parted hair. He had a tree at the end of his garden on the right-hand side, which he was very, very fond of. He had stomach issues, and also he mentioned myocardiac infarction as a medical condition at some point in his life. He says that everybody had to keep pressing the doorbell on his house or on his bungalow because it wouldn't work properly, and he laughed about that. He spoke also about Heather. He refers to himself when he was younger as quite a rebel. He didn't fall in line. He was quite unconventional. He seems to have had quite a few friends in the military. He spoke of Roy, and he said where he lived was a very windy place. There was always sort of wind around his property and down. He talked about Littlehampton in Sussex. So whether he lived there or whether he just visited, he didn't say, but that was very specific. And he wants to give this message to his niece to convey to his sister. All right, because apparently niece or even a friend of the niece is here tonight in the audience. So if anybody can take that, he's talking about his niece having encouraging her to follow her instinct in a situation where she has most of her ducks lined up in a row, but she's hesitant in moving forward because this is very much a new venture for her, and therefore she's very unsure and very uneasy. But he wants her to know that this is the green light. This is the time to move forward.
So let's see if anyone could understand that.
I'd like to really place this gentleman because he's quite insistent about getting this message through. So if anybody has a friend who has this uncle, or you recognize the uncle of this friend, please speak about this. Thank you. Now, while we're waiting for that, I'd like to come to, if she's still here, Noreen Hill, who I believe is located in the Wirral. Because as your name came up, Noreen, I was very drawn to your energy. So if we could see if Noreen's still here, please.
Noreen Hill, love, are you still here? Let's do a roll call. Everyone, let's see who's here. Roll call. She's still here.
Yeah, thanks, Noreen. Linda McCallum, excuse me a moment, is saying she can understand and feel it could be Uncle Huey.
Oh, and you did read for her earlier, did you not?
I read for you earlier, Linda. So if you don't mind, if I can just read for Noreen, and then we can backtrack to if it is your uncle, we can do that after I've spoken to Noreen. So good evening, Noreen. And yes, I'd just like to say to you, Noreen, that you spent many, many years trying to overcome this lack of confidence and this ability to be able to walk into a room and feel easy with the people if you don't really know them or if they're strangers. But even sometimes with people you know, you feel sometimes that you're not ready or able to offer words that you feel people need to hear from you. And that's something that your spirit friends, your spirit guide, is saying very clearly to me. And he's trying to bolster your confidence, give you more acceptance of your own self-worth, because he says you have contributed over the years to many different societies or groups that have respected your contribution and that have made you feel very much a part of their surroundings. But nevertheless, you always, however welcome you're made, you always feel a little bit like a square peg in a round hole, as though you don't fit. And this is what your guide is telling me. They, as in spirit, are helping you to overcome, to give yourself credit where credit is due, to give yourself a pat on the back for all the good work that you've done, and to recognize the fact that now you're at a point in your life where it's time to pull all the threads together and to start investing your energy, your commitment, your newfound confidence in what Noreen does best. And that is really working with people, inspiring people, and being very much a strong, solid foundation for those that need the help and the advice. So that's my message for you, Noreen. Good. I'm pleased you're saying that's right. So
wow, that makes sense.
And wow, makes total sense. That's good again. Mm-hmm. So I hope you can accept your spirit guide. Your spirit guide says that you have been aware of his presence, but not on a regular basis, that he just sort of pops up every now and then, and you suddenly sense or think you hear a voice or feel his presence, but you're not too sure. And he said you needed it confirmed to you, and that's why he's telling me to give you that message. All right. So I think that's just about. And your mother is in spirit, if I'm not very much mistaken, Noreen. Your mother is in spirit, because I have a lady who would have been quite retiring in life and standing back rather than moving forward, a little bit like yourself. She was a great observer, an observer of people and their habits and their characteristics. And she used to store all this information in her mind. And I don't know whether she tried her hand at writing at some point, or writing fiction or stories, but she wanted to bring all this knowledge that she had about people into some form of storytelling, not for it to be published on a national level, but just so that she could become immersed in this whole process of the storytelling, the fictional storytelling. Right. I had just put it out there and you answered, yes, mum is in spirit. Yes. So if you can accept that information about what your mum was doing in terms of words, she loved to play around with words and language. She was fascinated by language and other cultures, and bringing this all into her imagination and trying to put it into some form of storytelling and narrative. Okay, Noreen? I hope that has given you some validation for yourself, and also for the fact that your mum is very much around you. And she's just laughing because she says that you don't seem to normally eat beetroot, but about a week ago you had some beetroot. It was either given to you or it was in a jar in your kitchen, and you decided that you would try this beetroot, and you were surprised because you actually quite liked it, and it was something that you thought you would never eat. and that you didn't like, and you'd never have a taste for it. So that's what she is. That's what she's telling me about the beetroot. So thank you for working with me, Noreen, and God bless you.
God bless you, Noreen. That was awesome. Beautiful energy there. Did you want to go back to Linda?
Yes, you have her character. She did automatic writing. Thank you, Noreen. That's good confirmation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Linda, yes. Now to come back to Linda.
Yes, the first one that you wrote.
Thank you, Debbie.
But you were in it, Phil. You were in it. I wasn't going to disturb that bliss, of that essence you had.
You're very welcome, Noreen. You're very welcome. Are you enjoying the beetroot? Do tell me if you're enjoying the beetroot. Anyway, Linda, yes. So you thought that might be your Uncle Huey, I believe.
Huey. She did say Huey.
Yeah. So do you recognize any of the rest of the information that I gave you that he was giving me, Linda? That's important that you can verify that if you can. Hope Linda's still with us.
I told her not to go anywhere. I hope she didn't go. So let's see. Roll call. Who's still here? Where are you from?
Maybe she's having a cup of tea or a swifter. Yeah.
I hope she didn't go anywhere.
Okay. I still don't like beetroot, but my friend did.
I love beetroot.
Oh, you still don't like beetroot, but there's something about beetroot here. But your friend did. Oh, so are you saying, Noreen, that your friend hadn't previously liked beetroot, but that she suddenly tasted it and then she did like it? Is that right? Because if that's right, that's what your mum was referring to. Ah, Linda, you're still here. Great.
Yes.
Can you take any of the other information from this gentleman who calls himself the uncle? Yeah, okay, Linda.
And Noreen says yes to you for your last.
Oh, yes, it was about your friend liking beetroot who didn't used to like it. Okay, that's what Mum wanted to get across. Linda, my Uncle Huey was very regimental, yes. So he told me about that. He told me about the 3rd Battalion. He told me about his chums in the military. He spoke of Roy, a friend who's in spirit now with him. Noreen saying yes to the friend liking beetroot now. Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. So Linda, the bungalow yes, he talked of a bungalow at where? Annie's Land. Is that a place? Annie's Land?
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it.
Where is that, Linda? Where is Annie's Land?
Maybe it's a typo.
Maybe. Okay. He talked also about Ronnie Barker, the actor, being in Porridge. That was something he liked to watch on television. He talked about his doorbell that wouldn't work properly and he refused to have it replaced. So people would have to ring it 3 or 4 times to get his attention. He was a bachelor. It's in Glasgow. It's in Glasgow. Okay. He didn't mention Scotland at all to me. He talked about Littlehampton, which is, as you probably know, in Sussex by the sea.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about Albert, who he's met with in spirit. He talked about rhododendrons and peonies. He was a bachelor. Well, that figures because he didn't mention a wife or any other people living with him. So, and then, of course, the main point of the message was to encourage you to follow your instinct because you've now got all your ducks lined up in a row and you're just hesitant because this is the first sort of venture of its kind that you've tried and therefore you're quite reluctant to move ahead in any kind of forceful manner, but that you feel you need to move forward and take action. So you're saying my Auntie Annie, his sister, lived in same bungalow area. Okay, fine. Are the rhododendrons and peonies familiar to you, Linda? and the tree that he talked about at the end of his garden on the right-hand side. We could do a song and a dance while we're waiting, Debbie.
Well, I kept seeing him walking to like down the street, having a drink, or like, so I'm watching him. So yeah, this is cool. This is nice.
Anyway, Linda, come back with anything that is relevant if you can, and over to you, Debbie.
Daughter. So he says my daughter has been using tarot, and I don't remember the tree. Okay, so that makes sense.
Your daughter's been using the tarot, right? Is that connected to my information about him saying that you want to move ahead with a particular kind of action or venture, but that you've been hesitant about doing this, even though all your ducks are in a row now and you can go full steam ahead if you choose to?
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's connected to your daughter doing tarot, but it sounds like something that you've been preparing to do or wanting to do, and you just haven't had that extra bit of courage to move forward and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I have been hesitant about participating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Well, as long as it's making some sort of sense to you. Oh, Noreen's saying, what's Noreen saying? It went instantly, that message.
Noreen said it was a crossover for me. So she understood it too.
And the tree significant to me and your dad. And I also had an Auntie Annie in Scotland. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow,
right.
That's cool.
That's very cool. So all right, we had a crossover with the rhododendrons and the peony and the tree. So thanks for that, Noreen. And do you also have a venture that you're waiting to start that you haven't had the confidence to do, but that you feel is time to do it? Because this could be just a double message for both of you.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking the same.
Right. Maybe Debbie, if you want to take over here.
Sure, I'll take over. So let's just go to Linda. Linda, she says yes. Noreen says yes. Great. So I feel like as you were talking with Linda, and you read her earlier. Yes, you read her earlier, and this was an additional reading too. So her family obviously was coming in. If I were to fill into Linda, let's go into Linda. Time now, seeking symbols. So if I fill into you, Linda, please let me know. As my awareness comes to your essence, I feel like my chest, I'm heavy on my chest. So I know that you are holding on to a lot of emotions is the sense that I get. I feel you're very visual and you can see a lot of things happening. And so Spirit is asking you to step out of the energies and take time for self. They're asking for you to bring yourself to pause, whether this is a meditation or whether this is in a way to acknowledge what next steps to take for thyself. I feel whether this is going to be with work, I feel like this is Spirit just saying, and I have a gentleman here who feels very much like a father who is giving me this information, if you would understand this as well. I know that Phil had your a connection to your Uncle Huey, but I feel a father that's stepping forward that makes me feel into the essence of the lungs and the breath with him, if you would understand this, Linda, a yes and a no, and I don't know. And I do feel that I'm just bringing the family together. So as you were talking, I did hear the name Amelia. So I don't know if you know an Amelia also, but I did also hear Amelia. And I feel that they're just coming in just to get going to try grounding and meditation. Thank you. And I feel like they're just coming to give you upliftment because they're making me feel the sadness and they're making me feel into even feeling lonely. Like how can I help? But also where can I be involved in as well? So there's like two different things, like you're involved, but also feeling lonely. So this is really interesting how they impress this upon me. So I say to give yourself an opportunity to breathe through the energies. Give yourself an opportunity to let things unfold. You hear Spirit very closely, and they make me feel that you can sense them as well. If you would understand, my dad always helped people to learn like a teacher, You're very good at manifesting is what he's telling me. So when you go in, think about what you really want, because your desires will flourish is the sense I get. I I do feel like November is a month that's being acknowledged, the number 15, the number 2, and the number 3. I do feel as if I were to look at the, I don't know if there's on the house the number 22, whether this is an apartment or a home. They're showing me the number 222, or excuse me, the number 2 and 2. I feel like it's a cream house that I'm looking at. And I feel like I just want to bring family back together. So there's healing around separation with the family, and they're showing me like a reconnection here. I feel like I'm also making phone calls where there either is a number with an 8 and a 4, or an 84 or an 884. So I feel like you either wanted to call him, because this is the impression that they're giving me, like wanting to pick up the phone, wanting to call my father, or just even thinking of who to talk to for help. So when we're having all these outside emotions, this is why they're saying go within, pause, and spirit's got you. So I'll leave you with their love. I say thank you, Linda, for letting me hold space for you. And Noreen, we're just going to leave you with their love. I didn't have anything there to add. I'm going to go in to pick another person to see if we can go in, and then we'll close it up, Phil, with a message. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'd like to go to Robert Mace, please.
Okay, go.
Robert, good evening. I see you were asking if possible for a message, so here we are. Now, I've got a very strong sense of your grandfather, your father's father, in spirit, who says he doesn't make a habit of coming through to give this kind of communication, and wouldn't have had a great deal of time for this when he was in the earth body. But nevertheless, he says he feels he has to come and to congratulate you on championing yourself against very difficult odds which presented themselves to you particularly in the last 2.5 to 3 years, because he said that's been very much an uphill struggle for you, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. And he wants to congratulate you on coming out. He said you haven't completely come out of the other side completely yet, but you are emerging again into the light of your own self-understanding and awareness. He's also congratulating you on standing up for yourself, being, he says, the man that you were meant to be, and finally owning your own self, your own integrity, and your own self-worth. He shows me mountains, and he talks about your journey being very much one of having to climb mountains, metaphorically speaking. He also talks about you feeling very much in the wilderness many times in your life, when you felt you had nobody to call on, nobody to help you. And you managed then to pick yourself up from your grassroots and really stand tall again and get on with the job in hand. That's what he says you've always done, got on.
Let's see if he's still here. Let's see if he can understand this. I don't see him commenting. Robert, are you still here, Robert? Oh, yeah, very true. There we go. He understood it.
Yeah, that's good, Robert. I hope you can understand all that. He's also giving me the dates of January the 24th as a birthday. He's also talking about April the 18th for a passing. He's also talking about the symbol, showing me the symbol of brothers in arms. So whether that was a familiar slogan to you and your friends in some kind of organization at one point in your life, but it's like symbolic of this particular place or society, brothers in arms. And while he talks about that, a young man came in very, very quickly, very eager to make his presence known to you, and said he was either a best friend of yours when you were young, in your sort of late 20s, early 30s, or you were becoming very, very good friends, and suddenly he passed. And he said it was very much a case of too little, too soon. That's how he explained it to me. But wishes to be remembered to you, and says he appreciated the times that you shared together and how much of an inspiration you were to him, and how you were able to lift him up without you knowing you were doing that, but to give him that extra fortification and that extra confidence that he needed. And he said, unfortunately, I didn't have the stamina or the wherewithal to withstand the trials and tribulations of everyday physical life. And that's important. But he said, you helped me through that period very much, which is helping me now in my spiritual progression. So that's your message, Robert. And I hope you can understand that.
What a beautiful evening having you here with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful messages, Phil, and thank you for being a guest on Transcend with Debbie, on Things Network, Sacred Spiral, Derek Akora's page, and Find Me a Medium.
It's been an absolute...
Yeah, the energy was just marvelous. I could feel the bliss of all the messages and healing. And I just want to say thank you for being a service to spirit and the community and the journey that you have shared with many. We appreciate you. Thank you, Phil.
Would you like me to do a closing prayer?
Please do.
Thank you. I'm very fond of this Native American Indian blessing, which I often do at my Wimbledon Spiritualist Church services. Teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear, and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back Wednesday at 11 a.m. PD time, 7 p.m. UK, and come back at 1 o'clock where you can see my girl, Kelly Brickle, on Psychic Hour. You guys have a beautiful rest of your evening wherever you are in the world. Thank you, Phil, for the beautiful blessing prayer.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.